Hey guys, chess coach Andrew Rankin here. Welcome back to Utop Chess Institute's 1510 games. Hopefully we'll get an opponent here in a second. Alright, we got Mighty Joe 001. He's the first of the double O's. He looks old enough to be it. No, I'm just kidding. The first 007 movies came out in like 1950s, I think. You know what's an interesting experiment? Watch all the 00 movies in order, and you get to see the evolution of how society treats women. It's actually really interesting. You could call it like a feminist project. Because in the first 007s, James Bond basically just rapes women, and then if you move all the way to today, there's a lot more romance. Alright, back to chess. Bishop d3, stopping his bishop from coming out to this strong diagonal. a6, not really a big fan of that. Kind of plays into my hands. So my idea here is, well, now we have the threat of simply bishop takes knight and then bishop takes on h7. So h6 is usually played here, or knight b to d7. Those are really the only two options. g6 is way too weakening. Yeah, there's h6. Knight b to d7, preparing c5. Big fan of c5 though. The more he plays on the queen side, the stronger the central pawn roller in the middle is. Yeah. You might think, oh no, my bishop's getting trapped, but we have this nice f5 square. So g6 here threatens to trap the bishop. But now we get lots of pressure. Bishops can be really strong over here. The more he plays on the queen side, the slower his play is really going to be. He goes there. Okay. Thinking rook a to d1, which supports the center and prepares the central pawn roller. If he takes here, I'm not too worried about that. We get more pressure in the middle. So yeah, let's go rook a to d1. I always teach my students about x-rays. We always look so narrow-mindedly. We think, oh look, the rook is attacking the d pawn, which is blocked by another pawn, so rook to d1 makes no sense at all. But the longer the game plays out, the stronger these x-rays become. So sometimes very passively placed pieces, if you have a plan to get your pieces and your opponent's pieces out of the way, then those so-called passive pieces become your most active pieces and become very strong. So that's the idea here, and we do that with f3, e4. This plan is even faster if the bishop ends up on g4, but because he played c5, c4, then my bishop was forced to f5, which prevents bishop g4. I know I didn't take so much time in the opening, but this is pretty much just the way to play the central pawn roller. I should note that if the knight determines, your g knight determines what your middle game plan is. If the knight goes to f3, then the rook goes to b1 and you play a minority attack. If the knight goes to e2, you play rook a to d1 and you play a central pawn roller attack. So if black really knows his stuff, then he would be able to determine as early as move, let's say 10, maybe a little bit earlier. He has an idea of what my middle game plans are. When I post this video, I'll post John Bartholomew, who's an international master. He has similar rapid games played where he plays the central pawn roller, and that's actually the name of it. So if Also, you can just YouTube search John Bartholomew Central Pawn Roller and you'll find a video with basically this exact same setup. I don't think, no, I know for a fact that the moves were different because in his game the bishop was on b7, which made this bishop and this bishop even stronger. Yeah, so he doesn't take. That makes sense. Now I should note that f3, you can't play e4 until this bishop trades. Otherwise he'll trade bishops after e4 and you end up with doubled f-pawns and a pawn on f3 and f5. Looks really weird. So f3, what's our game plan here? I mean, we could play f3, but then what? He's gonna go rook here. Eventually we have to trade. Or we could take, check, and then play e4. So yeah, let's play f3. We can always play king h1, very useful prophylactic move. Okay. That's interesting. Could play knight to g3, but then I think after g5 my bishop gets trapped. So my idea is knight g3, but then g5, and then I take, you take, and I move here. No, he's no longer undefended, so that doesn't work. I could play bishop takes, and then knight to g3. But who knows, maybe the queen back on d7 is a good thing. Go here. Now we're ready for e4. So just very straightforward play. He should take with the knight. This knight is definitely misplaced on d6. But queen takes centralizes his queen and defends his undefended piece, which unpins the knight. So, tough choice. Takes with the queen, takes with the knight. Let's say queen takes. e4, pawn takes, pawn takes. Oh, this guy is undefended. Okay, he does take with the queen. I'm thinking e4. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Is there any reason to play king to h1? e4, pawn takes, pawn takes. He has to take, otherwise e5, and we're just rolling down his face. What's his next move after that? Guessing he's gonna bring like the rook here to put pressure on the center pawn. Or move the knight away, maybe knight to the side here. I wish I had this square for the queen. It's usually in fantastic infiltration. We also have knight here, which puts more pressure on his middle. Then he has g5. So bishop takes, knight f4. He still has this knight and this queen, so we're not really achieving a whole lot. Let's play e4. Oh, I forgot to calculate knight takes e4. Common move. Takes here, takes. I don't think that's good for you. Yeah, I should have noted that but now's a good example that e3 is a really weak square, so you always have to be careful of e3. Now there's a couple ways to defend it. Rook to f3, or there's always queen d2. I do like queen d2 because then we can go to f4. I also like this because then we can double up. And then play this, 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 and then this becomes really nasty, so the rook is tied down there. Oh, rook f3. That way, because queen to d2 guards this, but it removes the defender of e4, which means knight back to f6 wins a tempo on e4. So rook f3 seems very multi-purposed, and now we can play h3, kicking him out. f6 is an only move, which means e5 threatens to trap the knight. Now you see why I wasn't very worried about the queenside pawn storm early on, because now you see that like the c4 pawn just looks a little bit misplaced. The A and B pawns. So this variation was made famous by Garry Kasparov. He played it quite a bit in the 90s during his prime. And a couple games, example games that I've seen, he actually brings the queen over here to put pressure on the king side, and then he uses it to transfer the queen over to the queen side and gobble up the pawns. Okay, he goes there, so he's like doubling down on his threat there. That makes sense. Could go a rook here. Then he has this queen check. That's very annoying. I'm thinking we just trade queens here. We play an advantageous endgame. Rook takes, and then we move to double up. We kick the knight out, and we have a passed pawn. The d pawn is passed, and the rook is now behind it. So yeah, let's offer a queen trade. I don't see any other way to defend that e3 square, because I'd love to play knight to d5, but this knight on b6 is guarding it. He has to move the knight if he wants to play b5, b4 to kick my knight out. I'm thinking knight takes, and we start rolling, or maybe rook takes. Does knight takes do anything? I mean, either way, I think my pieces are... Rook takes, though, makes sense, because then we can move this. We can play here, here, here. Ooh, let's do that. Because my idea is that when we move the knight, after this, which threatens to trap the knight. So the idea is this. He has to play, like, I don't know, h5 to give the knight some space. And then we go here, putting pressure here. And then we can go here, putting pressure here and here. So the idea is to get the knight to d6 and have the rook putting pressure on the c pawn. Which means this knight's kind of stuck defending it, blocking his b pawn from coming forward. And with the knight on d6, his rooks will be tied down to the defense of the b7 and f7 pawn. He does go back. If I go here and you go here, I take, you take, I take, and then where's this knight gonna go? It can't go here. Can't go here, can't go here. So if I go here, you can't go here because I'll trade and then win your c-pawn. This doesn't do anything for you. I'll just go here and continue with my plan. I'm guessing he's gonna try and break with f6, but then we have e6. And I like that the knight on d6 stops his rook from preparing f6, because then I can't play e6. Or I guess the a rook would have to come over and prepare the move f6. No, you could go here, because f6 takes, he can take with the knight. But now if the a rook goes here preparing f6, then we go here hitting e7 and the rook, so the rook would have to go back. He just loses the tempo. Now you see why the knight goes to e2. It's a really, really valuable anchor. I guess after here he's gonna go rook here. It makes sense. But the rook's really tied down there. Could I bring another attacker? I'd love to go here, but again, the knight guards that. Let's go here. Put a second attacker on c4. Could even bring a third attacker. How does he defend c4 after this? Even here. Knight takes. That's so good. What about here? Rook c3 is just very straightforward. Ties down like all of his pieces. So what does he play after rook c3? Obviously we're winning the c-pawn, but f6 could come, which is a bit annoying. I like my pawn duo, but then we could play this and this. Let's go rook c3, f6, e6. The knight would have to go here. And then knight takes, rook takes. Wait, what about knight takes and then here? No, our knight guards c3. Yeah, once again, the knight on e2 is just a monster. Now the knight on d6 is super strong. Super strong outpost. I think I'm going to set this up as a puzzle for one of my students to start the class as a warm-up. All the way back here, where we push the pawn, then we maneuver the knight to the outpost square, and then we bring the rook over. Toot my own horn a little bit, but I do feel like this was a pretty clever move order. Oh, that makes sense. The problem is that I can go here and then here. I could also just take, and then go here. No, you go here, but then I take that. And I mean, pigs on the 7th, starting to look real nasty. Take. Rook b4, knight d3. Rook takes b7, attacks the knight. Where's the knight going? There's nowhere to go. If rook here, then we have knight here and then here. Okay, we also have this and then this. Oh, but then he plays this. Oh, but after that we take. Those weaknesses here, easier to defend than after this we hit the knight and then we go here. Yeah, so let's play rook takes. So I think his a pawn will fall as well. Now knight takes and rook b4. Notice this knight also guards c1, which is really nice. So after this, he has to go either here or here. d1 doesn't make a lot of sense, so he's going to go to d3. And then we have a rook takes b7. The knight has to go to b8. Oh, but it guards a6. So then we play knight to c3. Threatening this and then this check. Or this? How do we get another attacker on this guy? What about here? Here? Huh. I do like the fact that this comes with check. Not sure what it accomplishes though. It'd be nice if I had like a fork. So I could sack the rook and then like fork. But it doesn't work. Oh, but after this, we could go here and put pressure here. So yeah, let's go rook b4, rook here, and then rook here, and then we'll bring the knight in this way. Put pressure on a6. I like that my king already has the f2 square to run away to. So I'm not really worried about back ranks. Also, the only way in is the c file, and we got that covered. This knight is going to win us the game. This knight on d6 is just amazing. Covers everything. And this knight covers our base point. Knight d3 is like an only move. The d pawn might just win us the game. The pass d pawn. d5, d6 looks really strong at the right time. Interesting. Grab some snacks here while we're waiting for him to make a move. Got those really thin pretzels. Pretzel crisps is what they're called from Snack Factory. Yeah, I think he realizes his position is pretty poor. 93 is clearly the only move. I mean, if you go here, might be able to almost trap you. Not really. I can't control the e3 square. Because I wish I could bring my king to f2 when his knight jumps to one of these two squares, but I can't. Wow, he goes there. Okay. So rook takes, knight moves here, kind of an only move. I guess you could go rook here, but then this pawn gets weak. Also here, this check, and then we go here and we kick the rook away from defending. Now I like rook to a7. King f1, king e1. You go here and then here. Then here is the idea. Now is the time to play a really accurate move. Rook e7 stops this knight from moving. That was the plan, let's do it. I always get in trouble when I veer off from my plan, so let's stick to it. I guess he went knight d1 to stop me from going knight c3 this way, but I can always just go to f4 and then this way. So f4, maybe he plays g5. Nope. Where are you going? Here maybe? No, knight f4? Oh, is he going here? Is that the idea? Now I like king here. If you go here, here, here. Here, here, here. f6 though. Ugh. Here. Pawn takes, pawn takes. He can't really move the rook, because then this oh no, if you push here, I'll just push. And then I can go here and put pressure here. Okay, let's go king f2. He has this check, but go king g3. He goes back here, and then we go to f3, and it doesn't repeat. No, he goes back. That makes sense. Where's he going? Here, maybe? Nope. Here, maybe? So I have this. Oh, I don't have any of these squares. So now I'm thinking king f3, king e4. Here, here. Let's go f3, e4 and just get super central. I could go here. And what's your plan? Here? So I think I have to play a3. I can't defend with the knight because then this forks my pawn and my rook. a3, the knight just goes here. a4. Then we could go here. Okay, let's think about this. a3, knight c2, a4. The knight coming back doesn't hit the pawn anymore, so the knight would have to go. You can't keep attacking it. I do like that. If he goes here, not too worried about that. Glad I left the knight on e2. Nice and guarding. Once I get my king to e4, I think I'm just doing super well. I think knight to c6 there was much better. You could give this check, which is kind of annoying. Then I have to go here. Then you go check, but then I go here. You go here. Then I can finally go here. F6, we have e6. Rook here, we have knight f5. Gotta guard the g pawn. He goes there, but now we go here. He goes there, and now knight c3 was the idea. I don't think he really improved his piece very much. I improved my king, so I think this is better for me. And now the knight's going to be an anchor on c3 for d5, which allows d5, e6. Obviously, if he plays e6, I'd be super happy because then this and this. Really tough position for black to play here, so it's important that white takes its time and improves my pieces to the maximum before I start the attack. So he's just gonna give up this pawn. What's your compensation? Here. Let's check, then I go here. I take, you move here. I'll move back. No, I move here. Then you have to guard both your knights. Yeah. Rook b6 looks really strong here because it stops his rook from coming here and it forces, I guess, one of the knights to d3, which means all I have to do is dislodge one and the other one falls. Don't have this check because the knight guards. Yeah, so he moves there. I just have to watch out for like this stuff with forks my rook. So that's why I'm thinking about pushing the rook up. Continuing to pressure this piece. Let's do it. Now his knights are stuck. And we're up another pawn. So now we just have to avoid nasty knight forks. How does he move? Yeah, that's like all you can do. No, here? No, it's then knight here. Here, here, here. The knight here. This check doesn't work. We take that. Or maybe we just push. Here. Here. Knight takes. Rook takes. Knight takes. Check. He starts to activate his rook though. I don't like that. I do not want him to activate le rook. Let's go g5. Then he gets this square. Okay. g3. Wow. Did not expect that. Pawn takes, rook takes. Now I'm thinking about this, which gives this check, and also guards this, so that after here, pawn takes, knight takes. Rook takes, though. But then I have a rook takes here. So knight here, here, takes, takes, takes. If you take with the knight, then you lose this knight. If you take with the rook, then you lose this knight. And this guy's hanging, and he's defending the rook. So yeah, that looks really good. Let's see, if we move this guy, he's guarding this check, but then we have this. Also, we're threatening knight takes, rook takes, knight e7 check, and then takes. We also have e6, e7. Looks almost unstoppable. Oh, he has to take with the knight. Oh no, never mind. He can take with the rook now. Yeah, but your knight is overloaded. Knight takes, rook takes. Rook takes, rook takes. I guess this would give you your pawn back. You're still down 2 pawns, and these pawns are just gonna go. I mean, here, here, here. This pawn, this queening square is already covered. Here, here, yeah. Oh, check you take though. I can just start to push it. Here, only move. King here. King here. Knight moves here, attacking this. I'm gonna run out of squares, my man. Okay, so here, how do you stop the promotion? Oh, he's gonna go here, check. So here, what if I just go here? You go here, I go here. Where are you going? Your knight can't attack my pawns. It's like a pass D pawn and H pawn. It's gonna be really hard to stop. Knights are tricky though. Tricky, tricky. Yeah, I think I had a better way forward than the knight here. I think just pushing the pawn might have been just winning. Keeping his two knights tied down. Because I had this knight that could jump into the game. So I was technically up a piece. I'm thinking here and then this. Takes here. Could also just do this. Pretty simple. I think he has to take it. Because if I go here and you take, I take, you take, I queen. Game over. So knight takes, king takes. I mean, still game over. King here, pawn here, king here, pawn here. He goes there. Okay. Still fighting. King here, maybe? No, then he loses the knight. Pawn here. So let's say he moves the knight back, because that's where I think he's going to go. Pawn here. No, he goes there. He wants the fork. What about knight here, though? Prevents this. If you go here, then I go here, putting pressure on this pawn. Yeah, let's go there. No, this does not put pressure on the H pawn. I'm wrong. But it's not the first time I've been wrong. Check. Kind of annoying. Wait, if I go here, check, here, takes, here. What about here, here, here? I mean, if we trades off the knights, he's just losing. Here. We have the check. And he goes here, and then we go here. And he gives the check. Very annoying. So here. Let's go here and see where his knight goes. He can't take my knight, because then connected pawns like this, you can't ever take this one, because then this one promotes. He has to move the knight. I'm guessing F1. That just looks really bad. I could just go here. Maybe I could trap here. No, I'd have to go here. I don't have to worry about these pawns. The king can't ever, like, take them, so... Question is, how do I get this last pawn? A knight here. How do I get a knight there? Oh, is he gonna check and sack his knight for this pawn? I don't think that's winning, though. Knight and pawn should be able to win. Here, maybe? And I think here, and then here, and then we can start to go after this guy. I'm glad that the pressure is off my H-pawn. Check, I go here, and then I have this check, and my E-pawn is guarded, and we're starting to make some more progress. So I want to play d6, d7, and we should be able to queen. Also, he can't play h4 because this check would pick it up once this knight moves. He's got to find an optimal knight sack for the two pawns. I'm thinking here, he's going to go here to try and get here, but then I have this check. So now this is looking really strong. He can't defend this square with his knight. So now check, check, queen. Should win. Here, here, check, queens. Or resigns here. Yeah, knight on d6 is a beast. Ooh, good game, Mighty Joe. Well played. I would, but I gotta analyze this. I'll send you a message though. Wait, am I allowed to send messages? Nope. I haven't authorized this account or set up the let's go to the game review. I'll log into my other account. Ooh, on this account I can tell Mighty Joe where the review would be. All right. %81.4%. Not bad, not great either, though. We only had 4 mistakes and 5 inaccuracies. No blunders. Our opponent had no blunders either. Just more inaccuracies and more mistakes. We had 2 great moves. Alright, we could have played the opening a little bit better. So this is all theory. Queen c2, not the best. What does it want here? Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Queen h5 threatens mate and a double attack on the d pawn. Ooh, that is very nice. I did not know that tactic existed, so we'll have to practice that one. Yeah, if a slow move here, we have bishop takes, queen h5. Here, check. Or sorry, not check, but queen takes, and probably the queen trade. c6, queen takes d8, rook takes d8, knight f3, or knight g to e2. Still knight g to e2, which makes sense, because this bishop here is annoying. And you can't play knight to e5 because the bishop will take and damage your pawn structure / win a piece. Okay, that's a really interesting line, though. So a6 drops a pawn. We play queen c2, gives back equality. h6, bishop h4. Now we're cruising. Knight g to e2, d5. Castle's not the best. It prefers this right away so that we control. Ooh, because then maybe this will fall. Or the center pawn will fall. c4, bishop f5. Knight b6. Yeah, I've seen this move before. I don't think it's that great. I played rook to d1. Oh, it still wants the minority attack. Alright. f3. Bishop takes d7. Move. e4. Not the best. It wants to take and then play e4. I've never seen that before. Usually this bishop wants to stay on the board because after e4 the dark squares get really weak. But I guess this knight is more annoying than... Yeah, once the knight gets here threatening e3, it's more annoying than this bishop. Bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, e4. And then we threaten e5. Yeah, knight to g4. Strong move. We get a trade. And now what's the best way? Rook f3. Great move! Queen g5. Now it wants rook to g3. Pinning it. Ah, threatening h3. I just went here. Takes. No problem. Here. Wow, it didn't like my plan of getting a knight into d6. I thought this was just winning. I mean, it is +2, but I thought that the computer would be like, yes. Instead, it says there's a better plan here. Knight g3 to e4 to d6. Interesting. It wants this knight to stay here to guard, I guess, this side. I thought knight g to e3 was a little slow. Oh, it does want b3. That was my alternative choice. It makes sense. Just put pressure on the pinned piece and then take and then play here. Yeah, then we get C, D, and E as central pawn roller. Ah, of course. It's called the central pawn roller. Add another central pawn. Duh. Oh well. Rook takes, knight takes, rook b4. Not as good as rook 2 here, but it doesn't change the evaluation a whole lot. See, rook b4, but it's still a top move. Yeah, second best move, and it says inaccuracy. I hate it when it does that. When it calls, like, sometimes it's even the best move, and it still calls it an inaccuracy. So the knight goes to d1. Yeah, I said that I thought d3 was an only move. Rook takes, knight b8. Ugh. Oh. Let's end here. Cheers, guys.